You are listening to Shameless Stories, and I'm Nicola Humber, founder of the Unbound Press, soul-led publishing company for magical women writing world-changing books. And we are delighted to be the sponsor of this podcast. So enjoy, magical one.
So, welcome to another episode of Shameless Stories, the podcast that is exploring shame, exploring storytelling, and I am always joined by magical, knowledgeable guests. And today is no different. I am joined by the magical Charlie, who is here. Well, we've just been having a good old chat, actually. Standard on this podcast. So Charlie and I, we worked together, back in 2020 on, you created the beautiful magazine Untamed Soul. And we were just saying it was the shameless stories of the era at the time, because we were all being silenced, we were all being muzzled. I remember sitting in a car park in Sainsbury's crying my eyes out, because on the phone to you actually, saying I'm not allowed into Sainsbury's because I'm not wearing a muzzle. And we were very much in the, oh well, fuck it, let's just we're just going to carry on being rebels.
So a rebel, always a rebel.
Untamed soul right there. So I'm going to stop waffling and let you chat, but Charlie, do tell us about yourself, and what brings you on Shameless Stories today.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. Sarah asked how to introduce me, and I said, well, I've been called a lot of things in my time, not all of them good. So my name is Charlie. I've just published my first book. I am, what are the gems in my crown that are in my bio right now? Liminal chantress, voice guide. I suppose voice has always been my passion. I've been singing. I was singing for a living from 11 years old. So the entertainment industry is not something new to me. And we met during COVID, working on a magazine that I decided to create with another friend, to share people's voices, to share people's stories, to give people something to read that was relatable, that wasn't filtered or highly edited. And we learnt a lot of lessons from that project.
Oh yeah. I just need to go back to the singing piece, because weren't you a impersonator for a while?
No, good Lord, no.
You're not? Why do I think you were?
No, sorry to disappoint.
Oh, damn it. But you have a voice.
No, sorry to disappoint. I was singing in pubs and clubs and on stages on a weekend from 11 years old.
Wow.
So we're talking sort of I'm 40 this year. So back when they were still smoking in pubs, and it was very much like not a children's environment. I was in there doing 2 45-minute slots, with 3 or 4 encores, stumbling into bed with a hair smelling like smoke. That was my normal, when all my friends were collecting Pokemon cards and Pogs and watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was donning some heels and a pair of tights, singing 24 songs on a Saturday night.
Wow. That is a different childhood, right?
It is. Yeah. You get to observe a lot of things and a lot of behaviors and a lot of different voices. And that's part of the reason why, or that's how I began my journey with voice, and looking at how I had a very ungrounded and unfiltered voice as a child, because nobody sort of differentiated the difference between the stage and the school, and what you can say on stage is quite often different to what you can say in the playground.
So you would have felt the shame piece probably quite heavily then, I'm guessing, as a not wanting to put
We all do, don't we? I think we focus so much at the moment on a world that has differences. Like we're constantly, the media and everything is chewing up our differences and spitting them out and reminding us of them. And
100%.
shame is one of those. We have more in common and we're more connected than we think. But shame is one of those things we all have, whether we talk about it or whether we pretend we don't have it. We all have it. And I think for me, I always say there's nobody that's more brutal on themselves than me. And I think that comes from looking at how I had adult thoughts and ideas and behaviors and quick comebacks that weren't received very well because I was 11 years old. And if you can be praised for that on a Saturday night with 150 quid in your back pocket,
Yeah.
and then on a Monday morning you drop the same line and no one laughed, nobody was sort of aware of it enough to say, okay, this is the thing. Like, and I still have that now as an adult. I still will, you know what I'm like. I will walk into a room and I will drop, like, if there's an elephant in the corner, I will not only kind of point it out, I will go over, poke it in the eye and watch it stampede. And I experienced a lot of shame over that because I just couldn't control it. And then I realized I'm a 5'1", if you follow human design. And I have the left-handed or right-handed, I never remember, cross of upheaval. So my role literally is to go, well, why aren't we doing it that way? Or why aren't we talking about that? Or that person's a dickhead. Like, literally, I am that person. And that's something I look at now and go, oh, I was doing that as a kid and I was so ungrounded and I had no filter. I must have been a nightmare in some senses. But then I also must have been great because I still have friends my oldest friend I've known since I was 3 years old. I still have friends that I went to primary school with. So
Well, that would suggest that you weren't ungrounded. It would just suggest that you weren't surrounded by people that got you. And I think I can totally attest to that because, you know, we were at the Birmingham Mind Body Spirit together, and it was full of people that were the same. We were all like bouncing off each other because we all got, you know, there was no, people could say what they wanted to say without the shame piece, which is so freeing because you're not constantly watching, crossing your I's and dotting your T's and, oh my God, I've triggered that person. The thing that I've found in our circles is you can say stuff that might trigger somebody, but there's a recognition of that. It's like, oh, that's mine. I need to own that. I need to take responsibility for that because actually that's not my shit, not your shit. You've just brought that up in me. And I think I've certainly learned that along in the last 10 years. That's something that I've really had to pay attention to because, you know, even though I wasn't singing in heels in an adult environment, I was still on stage donning heels and fishnets and wearing the tiniest leotards as an 11-year-old and thinking it was appropriate.
Performance, right?
It was performance, yeah, and you become, there's a persona piece, right? So it's bizarre. I feel you in that because I would be wearing the tiniest leotard. So you think of Cher in those outfits, like that was what we would be wearing at the weekend to do all that jazz, you know? And then, like you say, you go into school and you just think, God, what is this?
Like, exactly. Yeah. Why am I wearing this? It's funny you say that because through my book, I talk from sort of childhood to up to 4 years ago before we moved to Cornwall. And my first experience of shame that I actually remember is in the book. And I've been asked to do, I won't give too many spoilers, I was asked to do a performance, and it was supposed to be set in a jazz club. And I had to sit on a grand piano and sing a song. And so I had outfits. I was literally pulled out. I was the only person in year 7 to be asked to do this year 11 production, because they'd seen me in a newspaper and someone had come and been like, knock, knock, knock on the clashing door. And the following morning, it was so good. The performance was so good, people thought it was recording. So I was buzzing. I was like, right, this is great. And the following morning, I was shamed by a French teacher who, in the middle of the register, said, magnifique, I won't do a French accent, performance, Charlotte, but I don't know what your parents were thinking of letting you wear that last night. And you can imagine the whole class is like, oh, burn. And the rage at being shamed by another woman who was older than me, I was very much kind of like, this is not the Spice Girls girl power that I was told existed. What have I done wrong? Because to me, I'd hit every mark. You'd given me a description, you told me what to do, you'd given me a song, and I had hit every single mark. And you're shaming me for what I'm wearing. So that was the whole story. We start in shame because, well, when most stories, good stories start.
Yeah. And that just says a lot about that situation, in that you didn't do anything wrong. It was actually probably your teacher's stuff, right? It was all about her and her response to that situation,
Yeah.
She should
What
have
are
that
we
conversation with
teaching
your
the class?
parents.
Go and have it with the teacher. Go and have it with the teacher that said to me, you need to wear something slinky. It's set in a jazz club. We're going to put you on a piano. We'll get you a stool. Like, don't come at a child. And I think we all have shame, especially when it comes to using our voices. And that shows up in so many layers of saying too much.
Yeah.
I think that's one that comes up all the time. Not saying enough. And getting it wrong is the other one. Like, saying it and someone going, "Yeah, you're wrong. Like, you've totally misinterpreted that." Like, we face shame in using our voices, especially as women, every single day. And that's not only women. I'm not sort of being sexist there. That's every human. But we face shame all the time over using our voices, not just on stage or just singing, which is why I wrote the book, because we need to understand that it's in everything. It's in the jobs that the companies we work for. They kind of assume control over how we use our voice because you're representing a company.
Yeah.
I made that mistake in my 20s. I was on every answer phone for a company. Everywhere I've been, I have been the voice on the answer phone. And the one thing I wish I had done, I have a very sexy telephone voice. Let me tell you, I have a very sexy telephone voice. Now, the one thing I wish I'd done when I left these companies, generally walked out in a storm, I wish I'd deleted my voice from the answer phones everywhere I left. But we have it every day. Like when we pick up the phone at work, when we send an email, we're constantly having that juggle with, oh, I'm representing a company. Oh, I should word it this way. We forget that that voice work or even speaking is riddled with shame.
Yeah, we're constantly editing ourselves.
Constantly.
We're all doing our own PR effectively. That's where I got to with it all. It's like, yes, I do PR for companies and people and businesses, but ultimately we're all editing ourselves, but then there's also, like we talked just before we came on to recording, there's the complete opposite. Like, not everybody should be doing PR. Not everybody should be writing books. Not everybody, there are so many different ways that we can communicate and share our voice. And you sing with the land, don't you? You sing on the land. That's something that...
Yeah,
You
we all, so we were saying earlier that working on the magazine, I realized that not everybody can write. Now, that's not coming from a place of ego as someone who can write. I very much delayed writing a book for that reason, where I was like, everyone's writing books. Do I need to write one? But we're now in a world where everyone is so desperate to be heard that rather than go and see a therapist, we write from a wound, or we share from a wound, or rather than communicating with our husbands or our partners or friends or in our community, we come online and we word vomit. And then for people that feel everything, we're scrolling and we're just getting a myriad of emotions. And I mean, what was the original Facebook status thing? Wasn't it like, how are you feeling? Or tell me how you're feeling, or whatever it was in the status box.
good, bad,
Okay.
whatever it was. And now it's
Okay.
like everything.
Okay. How many of us literally go and look at our old time hops and we're like, I can't believe I wrote that. Like, I can't believe I wrote that. And for me, it shows that humanity is desperate for connection. We are desperate to not only be, the quote I begin the book with is, we're not only desperate to be heard, but we're desperate to be known, and not in a celebrity way, in a way where we want our friends to know us, to know where we're coming from, to know our shame and our trauma and our past relationships and our drama and all those things. We want our husbands, wives, partners to know us.
Yeah.
And we often think the only way to do that is to publish a book or start a podcast. And that's why the world is now saturated. I'm getting on my high horse. It's saturated with really loud people who don't particularly have a lot of wisdom to say and aren't particularly grounded, but because they have 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, we think we should respect them and listen to them.
Yeah.
And it creates noise, like you said. And aren't we all marketing ourselves in some sort of way?
Well, we live in the age of social media. The fact that we're all being given, we've all got the opportunity to go on to Facebook and tell people what we're eating for our dinner, and how sad we feel today. I remember, I mean, like you say, it is cringe actually looking back to some of the things I used to share. Like, oh my God, I'm having such a bad day. Like, and that just goes to show the the emotional immaturity of myself. Like, I can see that in myself. It's like, because I needed to be seen. And I think so many of us are taught that to be seen, you need external validation. We're always searching for something outside ourselves. We're always looking for that person to agree or approve. And, when you do the work, you figure it out. It's come through your ancestral lineage. It's something that happened to you at school. It's the whole reason why I'm doing this podcast is to unravel some of the stories that perhaps were imprinted on us at an early stage, and then seeing it for what it is, an untruth. That's like somebody else's. It's like we're constantly unraveling the onion of stories, and not all of them are yours. They're other people's, like that French teacher, right?
No one that's ever lived is coming out clean, right? Like, we're not, none of us are squeaky clean. That's not the game. And the part of existence and evolution is not to revert to being clean either. Like, it's not like I'll just wash all my sins and my shame away. New ones are just gonna come. Like,
Just in a different form.
just in a new lesson, a different person, a different form, a new elephant for me to find in a room.
Where's the fun in that, right? Sometimes we like to poke the elephant in the room.
That is exactly where my ungrounded child got to. It's like, wow, like, it's there, I can see it. So that's the joy of growing up, right? That's the joy of seeing it and going, I'm at phases and stages in life I probably was an emotional, unaware little nightmare of a hurricane. But then I wouldn't be the joyous storm that I am now without it. And that's the key and the lock to shame, isn't it? That's the, like, we often see shame as, well, I won't give spoilers again, but like Spirit showed me shame as a wall. And some women, everyone was silent, and some women were sat against it, just kind of playing cards, kind of giving up. And some people were trying to dig underneath it. And the point is with shame is that we have to accept that it's part of us. Like, some of it, like you said, is going to be passed on us from something that's generational, or that we've inherited a shame, which happens more often than we think. But then other parts of it, it's all a part of us, or a vulnerability in us. And I think that is the key in the door that we then get to run with. Like, once my friend texted me yesterday, she just finished the book. And she was like, well, you're all done now. I'm going and doing a review, blah, blah, blah. What's next? And I was like, well, I suppose I'm a bit dangerous. Like, once you've put all of your shame, and we spent months, my editor, poor Karen, I spent months going through journals, like just crying, looking at stuff that I'd written that I felt about myself, and taking pages out and putting them in, and then being like, no, we're not putting that in, dear God. Once you step out of that kind of restriction of shame, we become dangerous, and that's not what the world wants, right? Because then we're not controllable, then we're not predictable, then we get to run wild, then we're untamed. And
but that's when we get to have fun. I think that's the thing that I'm most excited about, becoming, in this midlife second chapter. You start again, but you start again with a lot of wisdom and intelligence that perhaps you didn't have when you were 11. So.
Definitely. Let's be clear. But that we saw that on the stage in Birmingham, right? We saw people sharing their stories from places of love, from places of truth and of wisdom, rather than from wounds and so on, and fear and triggers. And we saw how that resonated with other people. I saw your tent. People were queuing up to go into the next talk at your tent.
Some people weren't leaving. That was what was really lush. It was like,
I
you're
know.
staying here for the day. Excellent.
Yeah. Please get off the cushion. Like,
but it just goes to show that the appetite is there. It's like if you're meeting shame head on, and it dissipates so quickly. I think that's certainly what I've found. It's like the more I record these episodes, the more people come on and share their stories, the more they're kind of stepping away from that story that doesn't have any power over them anymore. These things have happened to us, right? And we can talk about them. We were talking about the scar and the wound. Like, if you can talk about these things without it like having a physical reaction in your body, that absolutely says that you're sharing from your scar. These things happen. They are part of who you are. These, whether it's shame that caused the dent or not, that's a way of stepping away and being shameless, like owning that and being okay with that. Like, that's, that is my work. I think that my work is done. We can talk about that.
Exactly, but the one thing I find with shame is, so a while ago we did a deep shame exploration a few years back with a friend, and I just threw onto the table. I was like, why don't we just share our most shameful story? Let's just get it out there right now. We'll audio at the same time. You record, I'll record, so there's no like, oh, mine's way worse, like, and we're done.
Yeah.
That is the most vulnerable we can possibly be. And I have a pretty good memory, but I'll tell you now, I don't remember what hers was. And I remember listening to it and thinking, this is your biggest shame? Like, this is the one thing that is holding you back. It's like all of this power and all of this magic. And this is one of the most powerful and magical people I know. And I was like, no, I don't get it. Like, there's absolutely nothing to feel shameful about this, because bang, 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 bang. And she came back and said the same. He was like, why on earth do you feel shame over this? And I was like, this keeps me up at night. This was 10 years ago and it keeps me up at night. So I often find when we share our shame, and not all shame needs to be shared publicly. Let me be clear. There's discernment and sometimes you need a therapist. But when we share it with other people, we find that they don't think it's shameful at all. Like, they look at our actions and go, well, you were 11 or you were 21. Or I think we often see, because of this modern world and because everything is criticized constantly or picked apart, because we are so used to seeing exactly that. I mean, we can look at Brooklyn Beckham for a prime example this morning. Like, that's the current news thing today. We are so used to expecting people to criticize and shame us, when actually in the real world, in the everyday world, with the people that love us, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. And I think that's one thing that that's a hurdle we need to get over, is that we're not all celebrities and we're not all going to be picked apart when we say to someone, I don't know, when I was 21, I stole a lipstick, or I'm picking something random that I didn't do. But like, we would maybe carry that. And the person goes, all right, yeah, well, like, I nicked a packet of fags, or we place so much value on shame because we see everybody judging everybody else online, and the people that love us will get it or will accept it. And that's where we avoid it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And as you're talking there, it's like, probably the most shameful thing I ever did was shout at my kids. Like, that, one of the, I mean, there's quite a few things, but like, just being discerning, it was always around my shame, the guilt and shame would come up because I'd lose control, or I'd shout, or I'd, get angry with, a helpless child. And that in itself, like, sharing that with other mums who are like, but we all do it because, everyone has a limit. It's like, but I used to be, if I had one of them whips, I'd have been doing that to myself every single time. And it's like, but why? Why did I always feel so shamed about that? Because there's this whole aesthetic out there that to be a perfect mum, you are unbothered and you are, you can handle it and you are grounded and you are this, but, that's not being human. That's a robot. So...
Yeah.
And
exactly.
what I've also come to, whether it's the right or wrong thing to do, but what I've also come to realise is my kids are learning through me when I learn how to regulate myself. So, they're not learning from a vanilla mum that's completely balanced the whole time. They're learning from somebody who is regulating themselves. Like, how do I regulate? When I get cross, I leave the room. I have to go meditate, go stand on the grass, whatever it may be. It's kind of, that's like, that takes the shame out of it again for them, because they know that their mum is not perfect and nobody is. And I think shame, for me, a big story for shame was around being perfect.
Yeah. I have so many.
You just can't.
We try, right? We try. I just think that in being perfect, like you said, for me, I decided to support everyone. And then no one was supporting me because I looked so in control, so organized. I was the person that was like, you need to borrow this, borrow it. You don't forget it's red t-shirt on Thursday. Don't forget it's so-and-so. I was so well presented that eventually I hit a wall and I realized there was no other fucker here to catch me. Like, literally nobody, because everybody thought I was fine. everybody thought I was fine. No one was saying, how are you? Because I was so well presented, and so I've got everything covered and everything organized, and I'll always show up with a smile, and my kids are always ready for whatever it is, and we're good to go. Like, I was so well presented that nobody thought to ask, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? And because nobody asked, I didn't even realize at the point that I was not okay. I just carried on until I got to the point where I hit a wall, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not okay. And I think, like, very much not okay. The perfect thing is the other part, isn't it? Like, it's two and two together. We see the way motherhood is portrayed, and how the Pinterest obsession, and I don't even know what the trend is now. I don't follow it.
No, me neither.
but we don't understand what that's doing to us subconsciously, because then every day we're waking up as a failure. Every day that I forgot to cook my child's tea the other night. So we have a very we're home ed. We have a very sort of lifestyle where everybody does what they need to do, and so on. Like, we don't sort of stick to the system, rebel. But I literally, my son wanted something different to me. My husband was coming in late from work, so I was like, okay, fine. And then I sat down at 7:30, and I was like, I feel like I've missed something. Shit, there's a teenager upstairs who hasn't eaten tea. And now I have to go up, knock on the door, and be like, really sorry, just forgot to cook for you. Like, what would you like? I could have been like, we're all eating late, or we're a bit behind, but I didn't. I just had to go, sorry, mum brain. I was knee deep in research. Your father was late home. I totally forgot. It's not that I don't love you. it's just
you haven't surfaced for the last few hours, so you're not on the mind.
Yeah, your headphones are on, you're studying. Like, don't wake the poking bear. Don't poke the bear. So,
in this occasion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, tiptoe up there. But years ago, that would have been a thing where I'd have been like, I failed. I failed. I got it wrong. Like, I didn't buy normal hot chocolate this week. I only bought mint hot chocolate. Well, one likes mint and one likes normal. I failed. Like, I'm like, sorry, kid. Like, we're human. To experience shame shows that we have lived. To get things wrong shows that we are learning. It connects us, and it shouldn't be creating any more of a divide, because that 1%, those white men in suits, those leaders in other countries are already doing that for us. So if sharing our shame brings us closer together, then I am all for it, in safety and discernment, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. No, 100%, because I mean, I can resonate with what you were just saying there. And I mean, the realizations for me around autism and ADHD, like the fact that, I said to somebody, oh, I'm this, and they were like, you only just noticed that about yourself? It's like, oh, I thought it was quite shame, because it was a shame thing. It was a shame story, because, we grew up with Rain Man, because that's what autism looks like. But actually, it's not that at all, because, there's so much more awareness. And that's what I love about, I mean, I did the 2016, 2026 thing on social media, and I went back through all the pictures, and it was like, wow, I was such a control freak then. I was so trying to control the outcome of everything. And that's when I felt the most shame. I felt the most judgment, and it was all me judging myself and my abilities. And it's like 10 years on, I'm looking at myself and thinking, oh, I just want to give you a hug, love. Like, seriously.
Right. Exactly. I went to do it yesterday, actually, and I went and looked in my cloud, and I found 3 pictures of me, and I sat with it, and I thought, that's not a lot. Like, 3 pictures is not good. And then I was like, you poor baby. Like, you just had 2 kids. they're under 5, and I had thousands of pictures of sunsets and the fields and the cows where we used to live, and my husband and my kids running down the lane towards our house. All other types of photos, and 3 photos of myself. And I was just like, yeah, that was I was like, oh, well, I can't do a thing then. Like, I can't do a scroll thing, because at that point I was trying to work out who I am as a mother of 2 under 5. What's going on with my body now? Like,
What's going on about with your voice? You disappeared. Like, and I think so many women feel that when they hear.
exactly. Like, I'm not only speaking for myself at that point, I'm now speaking for my children. And what happened to my boobs? And like, why are my hips double the size? Like, I think it's a really powerful thing to look back on what we were doing at 10 years ago, to see how much we've grown, but also like what we were sharing and what we were posting, which is why it's come back, right? It's the voice of nostalgia. We want that. We want those pictures without the sales and the slides. We want to know what so-and-so was doing. We want to know what your weekend looked like. For me, I didn't see that one coming. I was like, oh, okay, there's another little thing there waving its head, where I just was like, yeah, no photos, thank you, no photos. Now I really don't care. That's the joy of 10 years.
But that is the thing. It's like, if there are any men listening, please can you make sure you take pictures of your wife? Because
nice one, beautiful one. Okay, like high angles, no double chins. Like I have growth, but I'm still vain.
Exactly.
No, I don't want any. I don't want any ugly ones, please. Good angles, good lighting. Not in my jammies with a top knot and glasses. We're human.
Not that, not that we're editing or anything.
We can be real, but still look a bit pretty, right?
Yeah.
Because we're navigating. We're in a planetary year 1, so ideally we would knock down all the old structures and systems, delete a lot of people from online that we don't want to listen to anymore. But we have a habit of listening to people that look a bit well presented, right? And that people that look like they
have their stuff together.
Feel their exactly. So we can pretend that is already collapsed, but it hasn't. And we kind of are in that 1 foot in one world, 1 foot in the other at the moment, where we can be honest and we can be open and we can turn up in a tidy jumper but still with our pajama bottoms on. Because balance, like, we're not going to change everything overnight, unfortunately.
No. And I do think, that is a trend that I'm seeing for this year, like from February. Obviously January is still last year, as everybody keeps labouring that point, which I think is really funny. But anyway, it's like, well, February, it's a given. I think the last few years, that's something that really landed for me, is like, I don't want to do too much until the beginning of February. It doesn't feel right to me. January is a long month for a reason, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's that feeling around. So this year, it is going to be more real talk. I do think there's going to be more real conversations, and you can already see that from the shiny crew, Davina's and the Ferns, who are all doing podcasts as well, who are having very real conversations about things that were never talked about before,
which is great.
Which is great for us, right? Because
5 years ago, no one was buying Untame Soul, because we literally were trying to do that. we were doing that way before, and now we're seeing it come into fruition, which gives me hope. But I'm also kind of like, well done, people. Come on, now we're on to the next thing. Down with the patriarchy.
And I think that's the thing with innovators. It's kind of, you were ahead of the game 5 years ago with that, and now you'll start, then all the spiritual magazines collapsed or disappeared, and now we're seeing the language in mainstream titles, which was always the goal, which was always what we wanted. We want more people
Which
to
is
wake up.
brilliant.
We want more people
Yeah.
to be aware of this stuff. But equally, it's like, oh, where did the spiritual magazines go? So...
There'll be a new one. We're just at that, like every industry, we're at a pivot now where we're looking at the darker side of spirituality and the deeper side of it. It's not all love and light. It's not all love and light. And that's what we need now. We need that rootedness and that sacredness and devotion to things like the land and the darkness. We're always going to have the light and we always need it, but the industry, every industry is changing, and every industry is finding a new version of voice. And that's a really potent and powerful time to be involved in and to witness and to steer the ship for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I could sit on the edge of my seat talking to you all day, as you know. But what I was going to say, is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners, any kind of guidance that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
That is a good question. I was going to say no. This is one of those moments where you put pressure on me and I wish I had something wise to say.
No, I think because you've shared so much wisdom, but also
I didn't shut up.
You're also part of, you're the Trinity of Project Earthworks, aren't you? So obviously there's some amazing work going on there.
We are busy. Like you said, I'm not coming out in the world officially until March. For me, I'm having a long wintering of recovery from vulnerability, as comes with publishing a book. So
yeah,
I would say we're in a planetary year 1. So if you're listening to this and everything feels quite topsy-turvy, and I think it's going to feel topsy-turvy for a while, go out on the land. Talk to the land. Not everybody has a safe space or can afford a therapist or feels ready to share their stories, good or bad. Doesn't just need to be shame, to share their stories with or their thoughts with. But the land will always hold us. Go and sit under a tree, talk about your day, talk about how you're feeling, talk about your worries, talk about your concerns, because leaving them stagnant in your body is never a good idea. I think it's very easy for us who have support systems, who have the financial stability or the network to know who we can reach out to when we want to share shame or our stories. And as we said, the industry is so saturated with people wanting their voice to be heard. And the one thing I constantly remind people on my social media is go out and talk to the land. Go out and let the land hold you, because we're searching for a connection that I believe is not only connection from one human to another or as a community, but it's connection to the land. So go out, garden, moors, beach, forest, local park. I don't care if it's the square of grass outside your children's school 10 minutes before pickup. You can do it in your mind and just verbally talk it through in your mind. I prefer speaking out loud because I think there's a potency there. But all stories deserve and have ways of being shared.
Yeah. Love that. So
I know I said.
Well, it was amazing. So what I will do is I'll put in the show notes where you can find Charlie, where you can get her new book, and obviously a bit about Project Earthwork as well, because you often do gatherings and retreats on the land, don't you?
Yep,
so
we'll
put all of that information in the show notes. But if you have enjoyed this episode and you want to know more, reach out in the usual ways. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting to me, Charlie. It's been real.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll be back with another episode of Shameless Stories.